Welcome to The Explainer. So glad you're here. We are diving straight into something literally every organization is about to hit head on, if they aren't already stuck in it. We're talking about the Holy Grail, full AI integration. Everybody wants to get there, right? But the road, it's brutal. Between March 2026 and roughly 2031, most companies are going to wander into this highly dangerous structural no man's land. It's like a trap. You'll be too invested to turn back, but way too entangled in legacy systems to actually move forward cleanly. So today, we are mapping out exactly how to survive this.
Okay, let's dive into this. Think of this as your critical survival map of the checkpoints you have to pass to make it to the other side. We'll start with the AI no man's land, move into the financial reality of the dual cost J-curve, and look at sector timelines. Then we'll uncover some hidden macro risks and wrap it all up with the survival guide.
Section 1, the AI no man's land. We're going to expose the massive, glaring gap between what corporate leaders intend to do and what they're actually capable of executing. Look at this number for a second, 72%. In a massive McKinsey survey, we're talking over 10,000 leaders across 15 countries and 16 industries. 72% of them admitted a pretty harsh truth. They essentially said their organization is completely unready for the structural shifts already in motion. Think about the scale of that. Even among the most optimistic leaders out there, only a third truly feel prepared. The reality, the vast majority of the corporate world is staring down the barrel of a transformation they know they just aren't equipped to handle. So the crucial point is this massive disparity. Get this, we're seeing a mind-blowing 1,445% surge in inquiries about multi-agent systems. Those highly autonomous AI workflows everybody's talking about. But when you look at actual boots-on-the-ground deployment, it's sitting at a measly 17%. Over 60% of firms say they're planning to deploy within 24 months. But right now, that enormous gap between a 1,400% spike in interest and 17% execution, that is the essence of the turbulent transition. Most firms in this window are going to find themselves completely stuck, paying for both their old operational world and their shiny new AI world, while successfully proving neither. Section 2, the dual cost J-curve. This right here is the financial reality check every single board member and CFO absolutely must understand, or they're going to accidentally kill their AI initiatives way too early. We really need to define what we're dealing with here. The turbulent transition is this specific window of time, roughly 2026 to 2031, where an organization has to carry the costs of the new AI stack and the legacy mothership at the exact same time. It's not like you can just flip a switch, right? You can't turn off your old operations while you build out the new edge deployments. By design, they have to run in parallel. So the big takeaway here is simple, but man, is it painful? Your P&L is going to look a whole lot worse before it looks better. Look, if you're an executive navigating this right now, here is the actual J-curve arithmetic. Let's use a mid-market firm with about $500 million in revenue as an example. In year 1, you are going to burn through $2 to $5 million on your initial AI edge venture before you see a single dollar of measurable cost reduction in the mothership. It isn't until month 9 to 12 that you get your first meaningful deprecation, meaning you finally get to retire some legacy costs. And the absolute critical milestone? Full cost crossover, where the AI native operation actually costs less than the legacy stuff it replaced. That doesn't happen until month 18 to 30. Costs literally rise before they fall. The absolute greatest danger here is your board looking at expenses at month 12, panicking, and pulling the plug right at the bottom of the trough. Section 3, sector timelines. Now we're shifting to the pacing trap. Let's look at why comparing your organization's speed to the wrong industry is a fatal strategic mistake. Let's move to and see how this builds, because not everyone traverses the J-curve at the same speed. Notice how information-centric sectors, think marketing, software, consulting, they're transitioning in a matter of months. That's actually where most of today's 17% deployment lives. But then, look at the hybrid sectors, manufacturing, logistics, retail. They take 1 to 3 years. And the regulated sectors, financial services, healthcare, government, they are the long tail, taking 3 to 7 years. See, your firm's transformation speed isn't just about how ambitious you are internally. It is strictly bounded by external constraints, like regulation, union contracts, or simply the replacement cycles of massive physical assets. Which brings us directly to the pacing trap. If you're in a heavily regulated tier and you start scoring your progress against some nimble software startup, you are going to panic. And panic leads to really fatal implementation errors.
On the flip side, if you're in an information-centric tier and you relax just because you're moving faster than a regulated legacy bank, well, you're going to get eaten alive by your actual competitors before you even finish your roadmap. Pacing against the wrong benchmark will completely derail your strategy. You'll have to know your sector and benchmark accordingly. Section 4, Hidden Macro Risks. Let's pivot from internal strategy to the massive external structural risks, specifically shifting labor dynamics and global geopolitics that could literally kill your rollout from the outside. Okay, this number is staggering, 19 million. Counterfactual modeling, which basically compares historical labor absorption against 2025 GDP growth, reveals about 19 million phantom jobs in the US and another 9 million in Europe. Now, what exactly is a phantom job? These are roles that traditional economic models, like Okins Law, predicted would be generated, but they never materialized. Why? Because the output of that economic growth is now flowing directly through intelligence systems before it ever touches the human labor market. Stanford and Dallas Fed data back this up perfectly, showing exactly how this phantom job mechanism works at the entry level. What we're actually seeing is a 13% employment decline since 2022, specifically for workers aged 22 to 25 in high AI exposure occupations. The job finding rate for new entrants in these fields has dropped off a cliff. It's so vital to understand these jobs aren't necessarily being destroyed in massive headline-grabbing corporate layoffs. Actually, scratch that. It's more like the entry-level door is just quietly being locked for the next cohort of workers. The source material presents a really analytical historical context for this kind of displacement. It points back to 1979 Iran, where a massive surplus of educated graduates faced a state that just couldn't absorb them into roles, and that led to profound political consequences and regime change. Now, looking at 2026, the source material draws an analytical parallel. It frames this current phantom job formation as a similar leading indicator of macroeconomic and political volatility. The modern version is individualized rather than state-directed, making the grievance a lot more diffuse. But make no mistake, it represents a structural decoupling of output from labor. Boards have got to view this not just as an HR footnote, but as a genuine, serious structural risk. And this brilliantly illustrates our second massive external risk: geopolitical fragmentation. The idea of cognitive blocks is becoming operationally real. Right now, the US, China, the EU, and India are all actively developing distinct, separate AI stacks. So if you're a firm operating globally across these blocks, your architectural costs are absolutely going to skyrocket. You'll be forced to navigate fragmented global ecosystems, requiring really complex translation layers, parallel authentication systems, and degraded mode protocols just to function internationally. The Internet of AI is definitely not going to be a single, unified, flat world. Section 5, the Survival Guide. Let's transition away from the harsh realities of the no man's land and look at the specific, actionable playbook for actually getting to the other side. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it distills 3 mandatory properties shared by firms that successfully survived this turbulent transition. First up, you have to pre-fund the J-curve at the board level on day 1. You need to surface that month 18 to 30 cost crossover timeline immediately so the board expects the trough and doesn't panic. Second, prove fast on a small workflow. Do this before you try to scale across the entire mothership. And third, govern from day 1. Never, ever try to retrofit governance after some highly public, embarrassing failure. Build it into the foundation right from the start. Which leaves us with the ultimate question as you look at your own organization's roadmap. Will your initiative survive the J-curve trough? Think about it. Will your board hold the line when the P&L dips, or will they pull the plug right before the crossover? Fully understanding the mechanics of this transition is really the only way to ensure you don't become a casualty of the AI no man's land. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Take these insights, map out your own J-curve, and I will see you next time.